Hi, you're listening to Boggy Talk, Faith Conversations in the Mud, a resource of Church on Bayshore.
Hey, welcome to Boggy Talk. Hope you're doing well. How's it going over there, sir?
Over there.
We're just
way
over
over
there, over the other
here,
side of the
here,
table,
here.
the 3 feet away.
Yeah.
Remember when we started recording this in COVID, and we were like, "Are we too close?"
Oh yeah.
Isn't that funny? How that's not.
That's wow.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but that's way not where we're going today. You doing okay?
I am doing very well because I'm 3 feet within you, Justin.
Oh,
Or 3
that's
feet
so sweet.
Within 3 feet of you.
Within 3 feet. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Hey,
man.
it's the end of April, and hey, some really fun
Yeah,
stuff for your
yes.
family just happened.
Shared on
You
Sunday
Come on, breaking
we
news.
are legally, officially a family of 8. So our sweet little Esther is a Ross, and we're grateful for the opportunity to help her see her permanent identity as a daughter of God.
Yeah.
And, I think this is getting boggy quickly, but
Come on.
That's
That's the name.
when we look at it from the outside, it's like, yay, what a great, story. Awesome. That's amazing. And yes, it is a beautiful picture of the gospel, but it is a lot messier than, you see even on the day, like she found out, you could sense there was this like heaviness, and just what that implications are. I think part of it, she thinks maybe I'll spank her now too, because she's legally adopted, but
like, oh no,
I know.
Oh no.
She did say one time, like, and it was like so sad and so like cute too, but she's like, one time at the dinner table, she's like, I get spankings too when I'm adopted. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, think about like, she's even like sees this spanking like as
the belonging.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're not talking about spanking.
No,
I haven't
that's
spanked
not
her.
the
We're not doing
today.
But yeah, so I got that heavy, but man, what a beautiful opportunity. We have.
And what's crazy. So this is a byproduct of COVID. Like for our 3 adoption, like we had these beautiful courthouse pictures.
Yes.
We got dressed up for the judge. So during COVID, that all stopped and they started doing them on Zoom. And so, I've been to some finalizations on Zoom with some church members. And
I got an email.
You literally just got an email with this certificate, this like life-altering certificate for Esther and for your family. And it's like, here you go. Hope we spelled his name right and like Gmail or Hotmail.
Yes. But we'll have some big celebrations to come. We have the child dedication coming up in just under 2 weeks at our church, and we're going to participate in that. And we get some special things planned. So but that part is kind of like
yes, it is so exciting, but it's so cool though.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you guys good over there?
Yeah,
over there,
3 feet over here. I'm okay because no one else needs me for this next like 30 minutes that we record.
This is your safe place.
I'm like, it's quiet.
I know.
No,
we're down here in the cellar.
Down here, we are doing
under the Boggy Bayou.
Parenting is just fun and also challenging. And yesterday I was like, I wonder, like, because our electricity bill usually goes down like in the spring months because we don't run the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that everyone's electricity bill is like more now because rates have gone up, but I haven't noticed the big difference of going down this year that we would normally have. And I was figuring out it's because our kids are now teenagers and they take showers like forever. The hot water, I feel like our hot water heater never turns off.
And there's just so many BTUs coming from all those Wyatt teenagers.
I know. Yeah, they stink, man.
WTs.
Man, that's right. Anyway, that was random, but we're doing great.
That was random.
I was just thinking about parenting, and that literally this morning I was like, man, that's what's happening in parenting right now. Hot water heaters.
What's not random is how incredible Serve Day was, man.
Man.
You and the Outreach MLT did a great job again.
What a great team. They great ideas, great organization. And man, just thank you, church family, for being a part of it. We had, I'll get the final number. I know it was over 250 people pre-registered. So I'm sure we were over that with a final registration.
You met your quota.
There we go. But, I think I just want to say thanks to the church family for serving, for being so flexible and fluid. Everyone's just like, tell us what to do and we'll do it. And, even with a block party, it's like, hey, we're just kind of figuring this piece out as we go. It's a new idea and we're going to learn a lot from doing it the first time. So just thank you for being willing to get outside your comfort zone. And for some of you, and just make it happen.
Yeah.
Great.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to really what we're talking about today. So great segue there. But we're talking today about when helping hurts. But really like this serving as a church or as a people, toxic serving, or when it becomes this level of serving.
Man, there's so many places we could go here, right?
Oh yeah. I can think of some examples, but I think, a question would be, well, like, well, why do we do this? Why do we do a serve day?
Yeah.
Is it for PR? Well, no, because like, we do this more than just one day a year, but it really gets to the heart of like what we want to see people do is like, we want to see service, engagement in the community, as a natural rhythm of our lives. And that's part of the discipleship process. And this is one opportunity to do that. But, all the things we're trying to do are with a purpose. I think when helping hurts is when it's, self-glorifying, when it is for PR, when it is for the picture, when it is for the Instagram, and really when it's not really for the benefit of those who are serving. And I can talk some more about that, but anyway.
Yeah. Background. I mean, I used to be a little critical of, everything, but I used to be a little critical of.
There's a shorter list of things.
Right. Yeah. My wife's like, amen, but she doesn't listen to Boggy Talk. But she listens. She's probably on like
season 2,
like last June, like not this past June, the June before.
Funny.
But we, I used to be critical of like a church specifically that would be like, we're doing serve day, and you're aware of the criticisms there. So I guess I would say, in light of the criticisms of serve days and churches doing things with t-shirts to make a Instagram post, what would be your defense of our serve day? And I'm with you, by the way, obviously. Yeah. He wasn't like, James, I don't care what you think. We're doing serve day.
Serve day. It's a hill I'll die on. Really,
the hill I'll die on is the hill coming up on John Sims.
Coming to Parton. Where you like take your life in your hands with a left-hand turn in traffic. Yes. I think it is a chance to mobilize the church. It is a chance to build relationships. One of the things we really strive to do in Serve Day is we're working with existing ministries. So we're not just like, hey, this is a need and we don't care who else is already meeting this need. We're going to go and do our own thing so we get the credit. Yes. So we partner with One More Child for the meal packing, and the meals are being used in our community through sharing and caring. They're being used by One More Child and the things they're doing. We're going to children in crisis and asking them, what do you want us to do? Not, hey, we want to come bless you with this agenda we have. We've got some skits we want to do for your kids, and let's force these kids in foster care to just sit through what we want to do. No, what do you need? Okay, you need help on campus. We're going to do that. You want people to come and just engage with the kids on campus. We're going to do that. We're just asking people, what do you need? And the church, the goal is like, if there's a need in our community, it's a win for the church, not just for our church, but it's a win for the other, Jesus preaching churches in our community that they know they can come to the church to meet a need. Right. And that's, I think we see that in scripture. We see that in church history. Christians just meet needs. They do. And we want to meet needs without the guarantee of anything in return. Right. That's, what we do. We do want people to know Jesus. So there, you could say, well, you're serving with an ulterior motive. Well, but also that's like, loving people is wanting what's best for them, and what's best for people is knowing Jesus. So, I think
it's really not an ulterior motive.
Yeah, it is the motive. Yeah, it is the motive. Christ's love compels us, So if you want to frame it as ulterior motive, sure, but it's not. I think it's a pretty blatant motive. But also, our help and our service isn't contingent upon someone, as we're out canvassing, people could slam the door in our face. Oh, well, people could say, don't talk to us. That's okay. We move on, I think it's just an awesome opportunity to mobilize the church to be reminded of the needs around us, to just exercise our faith, and 3, to meet needs, engage in relationships. The goal is that as we engage in these relationships, we're building bridges for relationships that we can ultimately, bear the truth, the weight of the truth. We've said that before, build bridges that can bear the weight of the truth we have to tell in the gospel. So that's the goal. That
was well said. Yeah. Are there so let's talk about the church, and then let's talk about the individual. Like, are there churches that do things like this for the wrong reason? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What is the wrong reason? Well, I would say the wrong reason is glorification of the church and growth of the church without a view of the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's putting the success of the 501c3 over the souls that are impacted. And I do think, you can if you dig in, you can see, I don't like churches, they create the I love my church churches, shirts and like all that. And I think some people mean it genuinely and purely like and all that. But wrong, but I think you're really de-emphasizing. I mean, you're emphasizing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And everything is tied back to like, our desire to look good and all that. And I mean, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so you just, you hear if leaders and people speak Jesus, or if they speak the business, the church. And so there are those that do that wrong. And there are individuals too, like who are coming to serve day. They feel better about themselves because they do serve day, or, whatever reason they're checking off the box. And I think as people who genuinely desire to make a kingdom impact, to serve the community and to equip the saints for work of ministry, like, we just have to be clear in emphasizing how this fits into that.
Yes.
And be okay with the fact that there are those, even in Sunday. So Sunday morning, right? Like, are there those who are coming on Sunday morning because it makes them feel better?
Absolutely. Or to be seen. Absolutely. Yeah.
But like, do we stop because of that? Right.
No, we don't not have church because some people might be doing that. Exactly.
And obviously that's a little different. That's a bigger, but I would just say like, our goal is ultimately like by the church being in the community. And I would say that the church, I mean, those who are committed to Jesus, like there's an impression they're making on the community to show them the love of Christ. And the people who are new to the church family, there's an impression that's being made on them because we have so many people who genuinely love Jesus that I think those people then catch that.
Absolutely. And I think you're speaking of too, there is a tension that we have to wrestle with as church leaders in that, Jesus says, when you give, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Like, we're not, and when you pray, don't just spout off words. So we're not supposed to do things, religious activities for the show. But we do want to tell the stories of what's happening. So there is this tension of like, we do celebrate the things. Yeah. We are going to take pictures of Serve Day. We are going to share those. But it comes back to the tension of like, we aren't doing that. Our hope is, and as we ask God to lead us, our prayer is not to do that as, trying to gain attention for us, but to really just celebrate what God is doing. It's the same tension like with sharing baptism testimonies on social media. It's like, we're trying to really highlight the redemptive work of Jesus here. And so there is a tension we have to wrestle with. And, it's just, if every post is like that, then, we're probably erring.
Someone might argue this with me and that's fine. But I would say that, and I have very little to do with our social media.
Except like, hey, Justin, there's a typo in it.
Yeah. Except complaints here and there. And right now I have nothing to do with it because I'm not on it. But I would say that our social media celebrations are more like celebrating what God is doing for our church. So our church can see how God's working. I've noticed some other churches, like what they're doing is they're trying to show the community we're a great church.
Yeah.
I don't expect the average person necessarily to see that, but I also think the average person is smart enough to see that when they like now that I say that. And obviously could we just be clever at doing that in a way that it looks like we're just celebrating our church, but I think you can see it and I think if you're around it, you catch it. And I would just say, It is just a tension.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same principle of people who go on, overseas mission trips. And it's like, we do that as we do trainings with our teams and we talk about the fact, like, what's your motive? We start with that. Why do you feel that God's leading you to go on this trip? Why do you feel compelled? And we talk about like, you're not going on this trip we don't want to be missions tourists. And we talked about when helping hurts is when we approach these things from, not just here in our own culture and, but in other cultures as well, as when we approach things as we are the rescuers, we are the saviors, we know everything, we've got our lives together, and we go in, whether it's here in our community, in Niceville, or it's in another country, and we think, hey, be like me. No, let's point people to the truth of who Jesus is. And there are stories of, people going overseas, and it's just, they're every year the same orphanage is getting painted, and it's really about this making this group feel valued rather than it is helping the people there. And that's another episode when we talk about the validity of short-term mission trips and why I think they are good and helpful, and or they can be, I should say, good and helpful. But it just comes back to the motive. It comes back to are we really seeking the good of those we're coming to serve?
Yeah.
I was reading an article recently. It was a journalist in Dakar, Senegal, and she was actually commenting on the fact that the presence of the United Nations, their increased presence in the capital, has actually, and the way that they live so lavishly, basically has made Dakar unaffordable for the Senegalese, because property values have gone up because of all these foreigners who are there, who are living their best life. Very little percentage-wise of the aid that's coming in is actually helping the Senegalese people. And so you read things like that, and I would say that's the United Nations, and that's a secular organization. But I mean, I've lived overseas and, seen enough. I know that the very same thing happens in Christian communities and ministries too. And so it's why we want to be wise stewards. And so is this really helping the people? Is it really serving them and meeting their the gospel need and their, what basic needs they have?
I would say that a key, and I think Bob Roberts kind of taught me this, is we have to view ourselves as serving with people and not for people. And I would even say, so let's take our adoption. Like, we're with Esther. This isn't, I mean, is there a degree that you can say it's for Esther, but ultimately we're with her. Like, that's what we've agreed. We are with her.
Yeah.
And so when we're serving the community, like, our ultimate goal is to be with the community. In specific communities. Like, if we're in India, like, we're with them.
Right.
Like, and I think that takes a stepping down off of we are the blessed nation.
Right. We are the blessed
and
ones.
we are here to bring this for you and to really be with people. And I think that does require some deconstruction probably for some.
And constant evaluation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that probably, though, the shift that has happened in me, like in like saying, hey, you know what? I am for a serve day. I am for these things, is like, I think a lot of people who are doing serve days and doing mission trips and even going to wacky churches and stuff like that, like, they desire Jesus. And I think I've been so like critical, that like Jesus said it would be better for, someone to be thrown into the sea, with a millstone hung around their neck than to cause one of these little ones to stumble.
Yeah.
And I think like, yes, I'm still right. Like, I am right, just so you know. But like, I think my approach has not been like, let's help these people who desire the right things. It's been like, let's tell them what they're doing is wrong. And like, I think like with Serve Day, like what we're ultimately trying to do is like help people see like, okay, you have this desire to serve, but let's show you like what that should look like, you know? And so that's where I'd say I'm a little softer.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, on right. Like, I'm getting a fatherly heart. Like,
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. I hope that made sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, it does. And we're trying to teach people like what you said, what does it really look like to be with people? And, I think back to.
And even that, not just, it's also those immature Christians.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sorry.
And it's showing them what it's like. It's showing what it's like to care. It's showing, is everyone who participates in Serve Day going to develop a long-lasting relationship with someone that they serve that goes? Probably not.
3-year-old, is it?
No, but it's showing, it's that modeling. And, I do think, some things that have come from Serve Days. I mean, we have a family in our church who met their son at Children in Christ too. I know, they're adopting another. I think of that. I think of, the jail ministry and going to serve these young men who are in our local jail. And one of them, confessing Christ as Lord during that time of service. And, the fact that happened that day, but there's ongoing relationships through ministry there. And so this Serve Day is just another touch point. And what's cool too is like some of these young men, like we have some women who will go serve in the jail, and it's like the first time they'll like see a woman who's like a mother figure, and in fact, Art Wilson, who leads that, is like, sometimes they just want to be hugged. Like they need to be hugged, to be reminded they're human and that someone still loves them. And so you hear stories like that, and that's exciting, when you see people who are excited for it, who want to go back, and and my heart is like, and this is probably my personality. Like if I were just a normal person signing up for Serve Day, like I would want to do something different every time. Right. And so when people are like, no, I really want to do the same thing I've done the past 2 times, my gut, not my spirit, but my gut is like, God, why did you? But I'm like, but that's actually great because they obviously have connected somehow to what they've done. And that's good. Run with it. Stay in that lane and keep going and keep pursuing those relationships. You don't have to be the quintessential extrovert who just wants to experience everything. Just run with it. Stay focused. And that's why, in our missions engagement, locally and globally, we're committed to these long-term partnerships, these long-term goals. Our pastors in India, like we're committed to them. We're with them. Even though we're far apart, we're with them and supporting them and praying for them. That's the goal. Is just I think when helping hurts is when we are when we're not with people and we're just maybe a little for them, but really for ourselves.
That's good. Yeah.
And our goal.
It's interesting. I know we need to wrap this up. I watched this documentary called The Last Tourist, and it's really talking about how tourism has went from, you go to a place and you experience the culture, to now you go, you see the place and you don't really get to experience the culture because everything is catered around, your experience. And actually it's hurting the economies because big corporations have invested in that. And, we got to rethink tourism. Yeah. And I think, cause it really is a great industry, right? Like, it's a distribution of wealth, right. But unfortunately, it has not become that. And I think missions is similar. You know?
Absolutely.
And so I just think there's a lot to be learned there. And I think we are. I think we're learning. And
and growing. Yeah.
And what's crazy is God is so good and desires to save people that in the midst of our messed up versions of doing what he's called us to do, he still actually works.
Amen. I know. I think back to in my own involvement in missions, and even in the past 20 years, getting more than 20 years now because I'm getting old. But he's so gracious. I look back at things that I thought I knew back when even when I first went overseas right after college and was like, I know everythking. Because everybody who graduates college knows everything, and they do.
They're so busy. They're so busy.
That's right. I'm so busy.
Love you guys, but you're not.
I just was like, man, God, looking back, you're still so gracious. You're so gracious to have worked through me then. And he just continues to.
You sound like Rod Stewart. I wish I knew what I know now.
That's right. I do. If you did, life would be different. Yeah. So that's a little about serving. So, hey.
That's the only Rod Stewart song I know, by the way. Okay, sorry.
As soon as you say right, you just think the crazy hair, that spiky hair. That's all I think of.
Sounds like a NASCAR driver, doesn't it? Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart. My name's Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart.
Hot Rod. Okay. Sweet. Well, hey, there you go. Well, let's move on to some questions. I literally have no questions. Do you have any questions that you've been asked? Because I don't have any.
I get asked questions all the time.
Yeah.
But probably none that I should share here this week.
That's
so
funny.
we can just do a shorter Boggy Talk.
Let's do a shorter. Hey, and folks, feed us some questions. I mean, the only question I've really had recently is, how are the new offices? And I'm like, they're great. Oh, it's so quiet.
Do you know,
it's so peaceful.
You're gonna hate me for this.
Oh, go ahead.
I was on the phone talking to a church member the other day, and there were dolphins jumping outside of my window.
Shut up. Right, I'm saying shut up on Boggy Talk. Yeah, I have like the rest of us down the hall have about a 3-inch view of the water. We have all positioned our desks up against the window so that we can crane our necks and look out of the water. And James is
I'm like, my window's too small. You're like,
dog.
shut up. I do feel like
why isn't this window panoramic? Why don't I?
There are like very few things I feel like I'm the pastor, like whatever. But I feel like you guys could razz me so hard about
absolutely
having that.
Yes, we can. 3-sided windows, your own study.
3-sided.
Well, you got windows. You got a lot of windows. Hey, it's great. And it is, it's great to all be together. In the same place, because we were divided on 2 floors, and I think there's just
that is a big deal.
It's a lot more. There's a lot more collaboration. I feel like we already all know a little bit more what's actually happening in other people's, because we
know who's working hard, who's not.
That's right. Who's pretending to work, not naming names. Just kidding. But hey,
those weird fake eyes you put on yourself to make it look like you're awake.
That's right. You come in and I'm like non-responsive. You're like, oh, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Well, hey, so we've got a little game today. We're actually going to compile. We each have 5. We're going to come out and make a top 10 list. And today's top 10 list is 10 ridiculously terrible ministry ideas.
Okay.
All right. So we'll just go back and forth.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Okay.
So
who's first?
I'll start.
Okay.
And
Number 5.
I'm going to go for, so a lot of these I lived through. The first is youth group gross out games. And this is just when I was in student ministry, and then actually I did some of these as a student minister too, that way it was like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like things that were just absolutely disgusting, like, fitting as many marshmallows in your until someone's like spitting on the floor, and just games like that where you're just like, the worst one was we did a messy games night, which was actually kind of fun. It wasn't like in place of teaching, but I poured flour all over a table and then put a ping pong ball in the middle of the table and then made everybody like eat 10 saltines, and then they had to kneel down and blow the ball off the table. But there was food.
So you
everywhere.
sodomized them?
No, it was just like
Okay,
it's terrible. So yeah.
When I was a student pastor, it was only 2 years. I didn't get fired for this, but I did not get fired for this, for clarity. We did Iron Stomach Challenge. So it was I was doing a teaching series. And so basically we started with everybody who wanted to do it, and then we would narrow it down. And so people, we had a good attendance, but 1 week they had to chug a pint of buttermilk.
Oh, gross.
They had to eat locust and honey 1 week.
That's terrible.
Spam.
Yeah, just gross out games. You're like, why? Why?
Yeah, it was pretty disgusting.
It was a deal.
The buttermilk was the worst because you would see people.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
You just see it curdle in their mouths and come. Alec does games with our students, but they're not like this. They're actually interactive.
I don't think you could. Aren't you not allowed to do Chubby Bunny anymore?
Probably not. You shouldn't
Or
be.
the Gallon Challenge?
You shouldn't be.
I think you get sued for that.
Yeah, probably so. Rightfully so. All right. And
okay, my number 5, and this is the only one that was my idea, but it is on there. I don't know if you remember this. Oh, my goodness. So it was a great idea. For Easter, we wanted to do a 5-week series differentiating the gospel, really explaining the gospel. This is at my previous church, and really challenging people to not just be religious. So the point was hey, you call this Christianity, but it actually looks more like what Islam would be, or what, atheism would be, or whatever. And we should have called the series "Why You Shouldn't Be a Christian" to kind of help people get it. We called it "No More Christians." And so we bought the website nomorechristians.com.
I remember you.
And it was effective. People got saved, but the public thought we were a group that was trying to get rid of Christians. So I even remember in Crestview, Florida. So we had these signs that said nomorechristians.com. So people would go to the website, right?
Which is catchy. It gets your attention.
Again, it should have been Why You Shouldn't Be a Christian, right? Because that's a little that's intriguing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even do this anyway in ministry because it's too gimmicky now. But I remember somebody telling me that this old man was getting off the interstate to get onto Highway 85. He saw the sign. He stumbles out of his truck, picks up the sign, slams it down on the ground, stomps on it like Draymond Green stepped on Sabonis.
Oh, that's really funny. And you're like, that's not what we intended.
It was not what we intended.
That's really funny. All right. Well,
that's probably one of my biggest dumb moves.
All right.
So.
The next terrible ministry ideas, youth lock-ins.
Yeah.
What good comes of a youth lock-in? And I went to many, and I remember not even liking them then because nothing good happens at a youth lock-in after like 11 o'clock. It's just drama. It's just people doing things, sneaking out, breaking the rules, middle school girls crying in the stairwell. Tara, it's a recipe for disaster. So I'm glad that we've moved past the lock-in phase.
When I was a student pastor, it's only 2 years. It seems like an eventful 2 years. We had a
Some
youth
of your
lock-in.
best ideas.
We didn't require advanced sign up.
Oh.
God was growing our student ministry. We expected about 50. 130 something students.
Word got
up.
out. Like, come on.
130.
And you're like, what do
we
we
had
even
like
do?
6 volunteers.
Oh gosh. This is like recipe.
It was
man, recipe for disaster.
Never again.
I think
Never again. Okay, my number 4. Again, this one's not my idea. We were in Brazil doing evangelism, like on the rivers, and off of villages, which is great. But the World Cup was going on, and Brazil's really into the World Cup.
Oh yes.
And my senior pastor was insistent. We're still going out right now. And finally, the like people that we were paying to lead us on the mission trip were like, no.
That's so funny. Like, no, white
That
man.
would be like going door to door during the Super Bowl, like sharing the
people
gospel.
Are just
like,
not gonna respond.
No. So I was like, oh, praise Jesus.
Yeah, you should respect the culture.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. That's really funny.
So we watched the World Cup with some people and shared the gospel afterwards.
Yes, there you go.
Brazil won.
Oh, well, good for
They
Brazil.
didn't win the World Cup, but they won that match.
Yes. Well, in line with that,
Number 3,
what we were talking about when helping hurts, I would say, and it feels like I'm picking on students, but this isn't really picking on students. Teenagers doing overly ambitious construction projects for missions.
Yes.
like
Yes.
I think our students are amazing. I have 4 kids in student ministry. I think teenagers are so much more capable than most people give them credit for. However, I don't know that a crew of middle school or high schoolers should be doing roofs and I participated in these as a student.
Yes.
And I look back and think like, we should not have been allowed on our roof with a nail gun. Like the fact that we were in the back, like taking a nail gun hooked up to an air compressor and manually pulling the trigger back and shooting nails at trees.
Yeah.
We should not have been in charge of roofing.
Not surprising, given the fact that we weren't in car seats and we were flying around in the back of our cars.
I just look back at that. I'm like, I wonder if the roofs that we did lasted more than a year or leaked, like within a year, and probably so. So I think that those types of missions can be valuable. And
but you're so handy now. Maybe that's why.
I am. Maybe a little fire. There you go.
Yeah. Number 3 for me would be clown ministry. And this church has a history of clown ministry. Look, I'm not getting into whether it was effective or not, but that's just funny to me.
Yes.
And frightening.
So in my youth group growing up, we had a clown ministry.
So was that like a Baptist thing?
It was it would be hard to find a Baptist, especially a First Baptist church in the 80s or 90s that didn't have a clown ministry and handbells.
So
really.
Tell me.
And ours,
tell me like how the clown did they just
it's
no clowning around here. You're going to go to hell if you don't die. If you don't accept Jesus.
So I don't know why this was a big thing, but it was. And ours, so a couple in our church led it, and they were, creative and talented. And I guess this was the only outlet for creativity in the Baptist churches in the 80s and 90s, unless you could sing like Sandy Patty. But they actually called it the Gum Company, which stood for God Use Me. And we would, so it actually became a thing for our youth group where we would go to other churches and do our skits and do clowns. And then we added drama to it. So we had clowns, we had drama, and then we added puppets.
Yeah,
So
I'm familiar with the puppets.
puppet ministry, that became a big deal. And
we've been asked a few times if we'd bring that back here,
And I think
you know me enough to know what my face probably looks like in that moment. It's guarded now.
Yeah. I think to everything there is a season. Turn.
Yeah.
And
you know what though? What a disgruntled church member might say? Clown ministry. That's James and Justin up there every Sunday.
They the clowns. We clowning around right now.
Yeah, hey, right.
Yeah.
Clowning around with those non-hymnal songs.
Those red shoes they wear.
All right, 2 more, right?
Big
Top
noses.
2. Yeah.
Big nose of red.
You just cut me deep, Justin.
Hey, I'm cutting myself.
I know what church member you're thinking of right now.
So
I said...
along those lines of
last night, just so you know, I'm not going to say the person, but you know, I was in a meeting and I was talking about like God just bringing, more broken people. And we were talking about like how people probably need to, like, some people not dress up as much. And I was like, and the people who dress up, like for example, I said this at our 8:00 service, if somebody came who was like disheveled and poor and dirty, now that so-and-so left our church, nobody would say anything negative to him. And everybody's like, I can't believe you just said that. And I'm like, I shouldn't have said that, but it's true.
They're not here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay.
All right. So along the lines of needless performance ministries are dowel rod blacklight dowel rod ministries.
What is that?
Oh man. So, dowel rods are these like long sticks, like 3 or 4 feet. They're usually painted neon colors.
Okay.
And you hold them in 2 hands and you dance with, you turn off the lights, black light. And
like a Kesha music video?
This is like, I'm not making this up. And you make crosses and X's and all.
No way.
You look like people conducting traffic but they're long and black light, and that's just weird. So
No
weird.
way.
Another weird thing of churches in the 90s, bad ministry ideas. But still, like, this is the thing, is like, somebody probably saw one time and it was moving because of the song they did it to. And they're like, we should do that again. And the answer is no.
Wow.
No. I've seen some, and usually that's a large group of people doing it, but I saw one guy do one by himself and it was very not impressive.
Okay. This one's kind of a sad funny. The number of guys in the 2000s who felt called to plant a church in Orlando and now who feel called to plant a church on 30A.
Oh,
not that I'm knocking all or a ministry.
Yeah.
Like people were like, I visited there one.
You can't even say this with a straight face.
I went and stayed in Seaside one summer
and God gave
and
me
just
a vision.
God just showed me his beauty. I'm like, yeah. And
he
people pay $10,000 a week to stay there.
Dude.
There's not hardly many people that live there.
No,
it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And you should pay my salary to go down there and pray over people and share the gospel.
Yeah,
like, come on now. So they called Orlando the church planting graveyard.
Yeah.
Because so many dudes are like, I want to plant a church. And their wife's like, but our family, we got to provide for our family. They're like, well, we'll be near Disney. Okay. All right. Sounds good. And another church will pay my salary. So anyway.
Funny. Oh,
but hey, the Lord's calling you, do it.
There you go. All right.
But I would make sure you have wise counsel on that.
Yes. All right. So we're down to our last one, right? All right.
Whose is going to be better?
Mine. I don't know. I can give so many examples of these, and I'm going to reference some videos.
Okay.
But no, or not so ironic musical parodies. And
not so ironic.
So like when you think you're doing a good musical and like, but it's terrible. And I'll use, if you will Google not right now, but when this episode is done, Eye of the Tiger Christian version.
Oh goodness.
The sad thing is this is not from 1985. It's actually from 2022. And it's like legit. It's a dude getting up there rapping and a girl. And the worst one I just saw was a remake of Beauty and the Beast. And I only saw a clip, but literally Belle is crucified like Jesus. It's like a total rewrite. I'm not kidding you. Like, it's terrible. And then when Belle is resurrected, it's like she comes out in her yellow dress and it's ridiculous. This is a church that does stuff. I've seen a church do like...
You've made me say, what? 2 weeks in a row.
I've seen a video of a church like doing an Avengers thing.
Yeah,
it's just,
that.
Stop this madness. Stop it. Stop it. In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you. Like, I'm all for a good parody that knows it's a parody and is like making fun of itself. I'm all for that. But when you're trying to do it seriously thinking this is a good idea, it's not. It's not.
Lord.
It's not. So yeah, that's not even like effective for kids ministry. So there you go.
Wow, you win. But so
look those up.
So this didn't happen, but I will never forget this. So the pastor of the church that I got baptized in was he was explaining to me how people think they hear from the Lord, but they don't always hear from the Lord.
Which is true.
And he's a pastor of a church of like 5,000, solid church. Like just because it's big doesn't mean, but a solid church, great effective ministry, long standing now. He said that whenever he was in college, he and his friend wanted to do a ministry in the poor communities in the park. And so they came up with a ministry plan, and they were going to buy this white van.
Oh no.
And go into the park, bring like snacks for the kids and share the gospel with them. It's like two dudes who look like me and you, but a little cleaner because they were younger, driving in a white van into a park to do ministry.
That's a bad idea. You got to read the culture. You got to read the context, and you got to be a little self-aware.
But maybe that's a little more extreme, but back to like the 38, Orlando, just because it sounds good.
Yes, doesn't mean
you
good.
Should do it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
and thankfully they didn't.
Yeah,
because they might be in jail.
Planning a church exactly. Planning a church in like Bermuda sounds great.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
yes,
but anyway. Well, there you go. Our top 10 list of really bad ministry ideas. And I'm sure there's plenty more.
If you have something you want us to come up with a list for, we'll do it.
Oh yeah, give us a list topic, and we will do our best. So,
and if it's bad, we're going to eventually share top 5 worst ideas that have been shared on Boggy Talk.
We could do that. Top 5 worst questions.
Yes, there we go.
We should do a top 5. If we can do this, we should do a top 5 awkward ministry moments. If we can do that without revealing people's identities.
I'll try.
We won't do it from this church.
Yes, I'll try.
But
all mine would be from here. So okay. No, I'm just kidding.
Or things people have said to us. You're like, not going to happen. Yeah. So, All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in to us. And hey, we look forward to being with you next time.
Thanks for listening to Boggy Talk. We are so glad you joined in the conversation. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a beat.